Hollywood is broken. The system that we've had in place for decades doesn't work anymore. Budgets are inflated, audiences are turning to other methods, and people who work in the industry are burning out. If we're having so many breakout successes, then why are the studio lots sitting empty? Is there a new Hollywood rebellion coming? And what does that look like? I have wanted to move to Hollywood at various stages of my life. When I was a kid and I would make videos in my bedroom, when I was a student and I would make short films in my bedroom, and as an adult when I was editing films and TV shows at the desk in the corner of my bedroom. Hollywood is a town that was built on the new technology of film many years ago because it could offer the requirements of light and space. But recently it's been struggling to keep production and talent in the area, and the industry that it once upheld is turning its back on the town. When COVID hit, the industry had to pause. Understandably, so did most industries. This is one, though, that is filled with freelancers and people work on a project-to-project basis. And that long extended pause meant that thousands of people were out of work for a long time. And even when things started back up again, they weren't quite the same. Safety costs went up, schedules got tighter, and audiences had changed. People were more comfortable watching things at home than they were in a cinema. And some studios decided it was a good idea to put their films out on streaming platforms at the same time as cinema release. The decades-long agreements that had helped cinema survive home video, DVD, and the dawn of the streamers was now broken. But it wasn't plain sailing for the streamers either. After an initial spike, because everybody was spending time at home, they saw a dip. Of course, a lot of studios had overspent, thinking this was the future. Everybody was going to sit at home and watch their films. But now that the market for cinema is not as strong as it used to be, films are being made and then cancelled before they're being released. A couple of years ago, we had strikes that were addressing the problems that workers in the film industry were facing, such as reduced wages for workers in the industry, using AI to write and therefore taking jobs away from writers, and that the streamers were getting such high views on older shows that had hundreds of episodes, but they were paying the actors of those shows and other people involved pennies in residuals. Without the economics of different budget levels in filmmaking and cash flowing in different directions, working-class filmmakers have been cut off. The directors who are currently winning Oscars are talking about how they haven't made any money from their artwork that is being awarded, and they're living paycheck to paycheck working on commercials. I used to be so inspired by filmmakers who had scraped together $6,000 and filmed their feature over a bunch of weekends, made a massive splash at film festivals and allowed that to propel their career. And they would move up into the mid-budget range and then the high-budget range, and they would keep their creativity along the way. Nowadays, it's like, what's a mid-budget? Everything has to be high budget, and it already has to have an audience. The public isn't trusted to go and see a film that they might just enjoy. They can only pick from 15 of the same film repackaged. This isn't the first time this has happened. The 60s and 70s were some of the most chaotic, explosive, and creative times in Hollywood history. Old Hollywood, with its star contracts, genre formulas, and studio control, started to crumble. TV rose as a major competitor. Antitrust laws forced studios to give up theatre ownership, and audiences grew tired of safe, formulaic films. By the mid-60s, studios were losing relevance and money. Their big-budget spectacles like Cleopatra flopped, and they didn't know how to reach younger audiences. The 1960s were wild. Vietnam, civil rights, counterculture, drug culture, student protests. Old Hollywood didn't reflect that reality, but a group of new filmmakers wanted to. This tension set the stage for a revolution in tone and style. Studios were desperate, so they handed the keys to these young, rebellious directors who understood the younger audience. Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick. Their films were gritty, personal, and often dark. Influenced by European cinema like the French New Wave and Italian neorealism, they portrayed life in nuanced ways. Bonnie and Clyde was stylish, violent, subversive. The Graduate showed disaffected youth and alienation. The Godfather redefined epic storytelling. Taxi Driver was psychological, raw, and iconic. I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey in the cinema last year. It was the first time I had ever seen the full film, and it was an ethereal experience. It stayed with me for so long. And then the summer of 1975 saw the birth of the blockbuster. Jaws had people queuing around the block on hot summer days. It was a creative film told in a really interesting way, and it did birth a new commercial era for cinema. But for a moment, artists held more power than executives, and this is how cinema completely transformed. The problems faced back in the 60s are feeling kind of familiar. Massive layoffs, franchise fatigue, budgets ballooning, but films flopping. Audiences have shifted and Hollywood hasn't caught up. And this feels like the same kind of creative bankruptcy that was experienced in the 60s that led to the new Hollywood. Today's filmmakers have grown up online mostly, and they understand not just what audiences want in this moment, but that audiences are fragmented. Studios like A24 and Neon have put effort into creating culturally rich and creative films without concern for crowd pleasing. These films appeal to people because they feel specific. They're not for everybody, and that's great. Actually, I'd rather watch something that really spoke to me. The next wave of Hollywood may not look anything like Hollywood ever has before. People are able to tell stronger and better stories on micro budgets than some people can with $200 million. I think filmmakers are going to start leveraging their online platforms and what they know about fragmented audiences. And I think audiences are going to be rejecting corporate cookie-cutter storytelling that they've seen time and time again. Something that you get from these raw, passionate filmmakers who know exactly who they're speaking to is something that you may never have seen in cinema before. And it's not filled with CGI. It's not out of this world. It's actually within this world, but it's emotional and it's deep. I dropped the dream of moving to Hollywood for several reasons, but I like to think that the main one is that it doesn't take that town to make a film. It takes a community. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I tried to get a little more daring with my shots. I used to do stuff like that on this channel, but I started just making the videos feel similar week to week because it was easier for me to film. But there was something really fun about crafting some of those shots today. If you are a filmmaker, if you work in film or you aspire to, then let's continue the conversation in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on what the fuck is happening in Hollywood and what you think the next wave is going to be. And if you would like to rebel and make your own film and put your stamp on Hollywood, then I have a tool that can help you do that. The Filmmaker's Game Plan synchronizes all of the stages of your production and helps you manage it all in one place. I also have a course where I teach you how to use this tool and craft a successful film. If you'd like to check either of those out, they're available on the Cinora website. Thanks for watching.